Getting a credit card with bad credit feels impossible. The options are limited, the fees are high, and most of the time, you're just getting denied. But here's the thing, you're not stuck. I know because I started with bad credit too. Today, I hold over 40 plus credit cards, have over 6 figures of available credit, and have earned millions in points. I've also worked with thousands of people to help them hit 700 plus credit scores and finally get the cards that they want. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to climb the credit card ladder step by step. We're gonna break it down into 6 levels from the very rock bottom all the way to the top. For each level, I'm gonna tell you the credit score needed, the best cards to get, and exactly what you need to move up. And if you stick around to the end, I'll share with you a free tool that tells you which card you're most likely to get approved for based on your actual credit profile. So let's get into it. Now, before we jump to the levels, let me explain why climbing this ladder even matters. Because bad credit doesn't just limit your credit card options, it also hits your wallet everywhere. Higher interest rates on loans, more expensive car insurance, even renting an apartment can cost more. And here's the crazy part. 1/3 of Americans are dealing with poor credit right now. That means millions of people are stuck paying for more for everything. But if you start climbing this ladder, things start to change. You get better cards, lower rates, and you start earning rewards on money that you're already spending. We're talking about 1 to 5% back on groceries, gas, travel, and more. For me, the best part is travel perks. Family trips don't have to break the bank when your credit card rewards cover most of the costs. Whatever your reason for climbing, it is worth it, so let's map out your path. Think of your credit card journey like a ladder with 6 steps. There's level 0, starter, building, preferred, premium, and ballers only. At each level, you get access to better cards with better rewards. Now, before we start climbing, you need to understand 2 things about your credit score. Your score is a 3-digit number between 300 and 850, and 2 factors make up almost 2/3 of that. First is payment history. Pay every bill on time. Even one late payment can drop your score by 100 points and stay on your report for 7 years. Second is how much you owe. Lenders want to see that you're not maxing out your cards. Try to keep your usage under 30%, but 10% of your limit is ideal. Here's a pro tip. Pay down your balance before your statement closes, not just when the payment is due. Your statement cycle is about 30 days. When it closes, that balance gets reported to the credit bureaus, and your score will reflect that number for the next month. If you wait to pay until the due date, your score won't be as high as it could be. Now, let's get into the levels. If your credit score is under 580, you're in level 0. I know how frustrating this feels. Every denial feels like a punch to the gut. But here's the truth. Being at this level isn't the end. It's your chance to reset and start fresh. The first thing that you need to do is stop applying for new credit cards. I know it's tempting to keep trying, but approvals at this level are rare unless you get those predatory cards. With every denial, this adds an inquiry that hurts your score even more. At this level, you're most likely already have a credit profile. The goal here is just to clean it up. If you're carrying credit card debt, focus on paying it down. High balances tank your score because it jacks up your utilization. I know it is easier said than done, but even small payments help. If you're stretched thin, then look into a debt consolidation loan. This can simplify your payments and lower your interest. Here's why this works. Credit card debts weigh heavier on your score than loan debt because it's always changing. Loans are fixed with set monthly payments, and that's way more predictable to lenders. Another thing that you can do is call your credit card company and ask them to lower your interest rate. If you've been a loyal customer, they might just say yes. That means less money going to interest and more going towards your balance. You can also ask for a credit limit increase. This can be difficult at this level, but if they do say yes, your utilization drops without you paying anything extra. Now, here is the fastest way to boost your score. You want to become an authorized user on someone else's account. If a family member or friend has a card with a long history, a high limit and no utilization, ask them to add you. You don't even have to use the card, just by being on the account could give you a quick score bump. If you don't have anyone who can do this, there's another option, which is buying trade lines. This is where you pay to get added to a stranger's account for a short time. Look for accounts that are at least 5 years old with high limits. Just know that this is a short-term play and trade lines usually get removed after 1 to 2 months. Next is to look into credit repair. Pull your credit reports and check for errors, outdated accounts, wrong balances, stuff that shouldn't be there. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you can dispute these with the credit bureaus. If they can't verify the info, then they would have to remove it. Even one deletion can be the difference between a denial and an approval. You get better results if you do this yourself. Letters mailed from your home address tend to work better than ones from companies. As a shameless plug, I do have a tool called Credit Rehab Pro. It is an AI-powered DIY credit repair software. All you gotta do is just plug in your info and it creates dispute letters for you just with a few clicks. It is way easier than just figuring it out on your own. Now, while you're cleaning up your credit, consider adding a credit builder loan to your profile. These can be secure loans where you're basically borrowing against your own money. Companies like Kovo, Credit Strong, and Self offer these. They help diversify your credit mix. which can bump up your score. But only do this if you don't already have a loan. If you have a car loan, a student loan, or a mortgage, a credit builder won't add much. Your goal at level 0 is simple. Just strengthen your profile, reduce debt, and remove negatives. With consistent work, you can climb to level 2 or level 3 in just 1 to 6 months. But once you clean up your credit, you're gonna want to have higher limits to really build your profile. Now let's move up to level 1. This is for people starting with the credit card journey or starting over with a clean slate. At this level, your credit score doesn't matter as much. It's all about getting your first card and building trust with lenders. Secure cards are your best friends here. And these cards will require a deposit, usually between $200 and $1,000. That deposit becomes your credit limit. It's not exciting, I know, but that's the point. Starter cards are training wheels. You're learning how to use credit the right way. Make purchases, pay balances in full by the due date, stay aware of your limits, and just build good habits. When you close the account or graduate to an unsecured card, you get your deposit back. Make sure you pick a card that actually graduates. Some secure cards just hold your deposit forever. Here are a few I recommend with no annual fee that will upgrade you over time. Discover It Secured, Bank of America, Bank Americard Secured, TD Cash Secured, US Bank Secured. And if you can get into Navy Federal, their Cash Reward Secure card is solid. Now let's talk about unsecured cards. These are what most people think of when they hear about credit cards. No deposit is required. The company just gives you a credit limit and you just pay back what you spend. My advice for getting your first unsecured card is to start with a bank that you already use. If you have a checking or savings account somewhere, you already built a relationship. They can see how you manage your money even without a credit score. That gives you an edge. For example, the Chase Freedom Rise is made for new credit card users. If you keep at least $250 in your Chase checking account, your approval odds go up. This card is also great to get into the Chase system, which has some of the best cards as you climb higher. Capital One is another good option for beginners. The Quicksilver One and Platinum MasterCards are both solid starter cards. Student cards work also, even if you're not a student. These are built for beginners, so they have lower limits and simple rewards. One mistake that I made early on was applying for every card that I saw. I was excited and I didn't realize that each application adds hard inquiries to my report. My score tanked and lenders started to deny me because it looked like I was desperate. So don't do that. Instead, use the pre-qualification tools. These let you check your approval odds without hurting your score. Most big lenders have them, like Chase, Capital One, Amex, Citi, Discover, and more. They're not perfect, but they'll give you a snapshot before you take the leap. Some cards in this level can be your forever cards. You don't have to upgrade them. The goal here is just to get comfortable with credit. So just pay on time, keep balances low, and build history. You can stay at this level for at least 6 months to a year, and it should give you enough time to build up a track record and show lenders that you're responsible. Now that you got the basics down, it's time to start stacking cards and earning real rewards. Welcome to level 2. This is the building level. If your credit score is between 580 and 669, you're in the fair credit range. You got some history now, and better options start to open up. At this level, you want unsecured cards with no annual fee. So look for intro bonuses, cash back, or points. These cards will probably be your forever cards, pretty much the ones that you'll use for years. Your income starts to matter here more too, because the more money that you make, the higher your limits will be. In level 1, you learn how to handle one card. Now you're managing 2 to 3. This is where you start optimizing for spending. Some cards will give you 2% back on dining, others will give you 3% on travel. The key here is organizing your spending so you're getting the most back on every purchase. Or you can just keep it simple with a flat 2% cash back card and to not even think about it. Either way, avoid annual fees for now. Focus on getting comfortable with multiple cards first. You probably stay at this level for 3 to 6 months, maybe longer if you're still working on your credit. If you manage level 1 well, you might just skip this level entirely. But if your score is still in this range, give it some time to grow. Some good cards to look here are the Citi Custom Cash and the Citi Double Cash card. The Custom Cash gives you 5% back on your top spending category each month, and the Double Cash gives you 2% on everything. Both sometimes give you intro offers like 0% APR for a while or cash bonuses. Also consider credit unions. They tend to be more flexible with fair credit. Navy Federal is famous for this. Their Platinum and Cash Rewards cards are easy to get and they have solid benefits. I can't list every credit union here since many are just local, but that's actually a good thing. Local credit unions often have better approval odds because they understand their community. Now that you're juggling multiple cards and earning rewards, it is time to level up where the real perks start. Level 3 is where things get interesting. This is what I called the preferred level. Your credit score should be between 670 and 739, and you probably have at least 1 year of credit history. At this point, you got way more options such as better benefits, bigger perks, and yes, some cards come with annual fees. But don't let that scare you because a lot of these fees are worth it because the perks pay for themselves. This is where you start seeing points and miles instead of cash back. Chase, Amex, Capital One, and Citi have their own point systems. You can use them for a lot of things, but they're most valuable for travel. You also notice welcome bonuses are getting way bigger. In the lower levels, you might see $100 to $200. Here you're looking at $500 to $1,000 in value. The catch is the spending requirements are higher. Make sure that you can hit the minimum spend before you apply. Honestly, most people watching this video will stay at level 3 for life, and that's totally fine. Unless you're serious about travel hacking, there's really no need to go higher. The cards here already give you great value without big fees. Before I share some cards, let me mention something important. The Chase 524 rule. Chase has an unwritten rule. If you open 5 or more personal cards within the past 24 months, they will deny you automatically. That means that if you get a bunch of cards from other companies first, you will lock yourself out of Chase. The smart move here is to start with Chase first, then go after other issuers. Chase also has some of the best cards and one of the easiest systems for using points. So getting into the ecosystem early is a big advantage. Now let's talk about cards. I will start with the no annual fee options. The Chase Freedom Flex and the Chase Freedom Unlimited are must-haves. Some people say these are beginner cards, but you usually need to have a better score or a relationship with Chase to get approved. The Freedom Unlimited gives you 1.5% back on everything. The Freedom Flex gives you 5% on rotating categories each quarter. Both earn Chase points, which can be super valuable when you pair them with higher level Chase cards. With Capital One, they have the Savor One for dining and entertainment, and the Venture One for travel rewards. Both have no annual fee. MX has a Blue Cash every day. Wells Fargo has an Autograph and Active Cash. All of those are solid options with good rewards and no yearly costs. If you are open to annual fees, here are some of the best ones. The Chase Sapphire Preferred is at $95 a year. It usually has a welcome bonus between 60 to 75,000 points, and it also gives you access to transfer partners, including Hyatt. You can also pool points from your Freedom cards and redeem them through the Sapphire for more value. The Capital One Venture is also $95. You earn 2 miles per dollar on everything, and you get access to the transfer partners as well. Then there is the City Strata Premier, which is also $95, and they have some of the best spending multipliers out there. With MX, there's the MX Gold, which comes in at $325 a year. It's a food powerhouse. You get 4 points on dining and groceries, plus some monthly credits. So only get this card if you actually use those credits. Now, here's a sleeper pick, the PenFed Pathfinder. PenFed is a credit union that anyone can join. No military is required. The card does have a $95 annual fee, but it can be waived if you become an Honors Advantage member. You get a solid welcome bonus, TSA pre-check or global entry credit, and $100 for other travel fees like checked bags. It is a great way to get premium perks without the premium price. At this level, you can start looking at business credit cards if you have a side hustle or small business. They often have higher limits and better rewards. One more thing, hotel and airline cards. The intro offers can be great. You get free nights, bonus miles, but unless the card gives you ongoing value like anniversary free nights, it is hard to keep after year 1. Get these cards for specific trips, then just reassess. I recommend spending between 6 to 12 months in level 3. You want to build your track record, hit those welcome bonuses, and learn how to maximize your rewards. If you want to check for which card that you're most likely to get approved for at this level, I've got a free tool that does a soft pull on your credit. It shows you personalized recommendations based on your actual profile. So there's no guessing, no wasted application. The link is down in the description, or you can just scan this QR code. Now, for most people, Level 3 is a sweet spot. But if you're already all in on travel, now let's talk premium. Level 4 is our premium level. For most people climbing the ladder, this is the final stop. And honestly, this is a great place to be. Your credit score should be around 740 or higher. Annual fees range anywhere between $400 to $900, but the perks can outweigh the fee. These cards are mainly built for travelers. You get lounge access, TSA pre-check and global entry credits, hotel credits, dining credits, and more. But you gotta actually use these perks to make the fee worth it. Most of these cards are basically coupon books. If you're not using the credits, you're just wasting money. Organization is very important at this level. Some benefits are monthly, bi-yearly, some are yearly. So you need to stay on top of them. So let's break down some of the main players. The MX Platinum is probably the most famous. It costs us $895 a year. Right now, you can earn up to 175,000 points after spending $8,000 within the first 6 months. As a pro tip, Amex bonuses are once in a lifetime, so wait when there's a best ever offer or something at least 100,000 and up. You get 5 points per dollar on flights booked direct or through Amex Travel, and here's a few of their credits. You get 400 on Resy restaurants, 300 on Lululemon, 200 for hotels, 240 for streaming, 200 for airline fees, $200 in Uber Cash, and there are plenty more. You also get Centurion Lounge access, Delta Sky Club access when flying Delta, and Priority Pass lounges, plus gold status with Marriott and Hilton. Now, let me tell you how I personally value this card since I've held it for a few years. I use Resy, Lululemon, Uber Cash, airline fee credit, and hotel credit. These are all worth it for me. Some of the credits like the Saks on Fifth Ave and the Oura Ring are just worthless, so I want to spend money there anyways, so I usually don't count those. For lounges, I travel a few times a year and I stop in whenever I have time, so I value this about $100 based on what the airport food costs. So when I do the math, after subtracting the annual fee, I'm still getting positive value. It's not extremely huge, but I'm still coming out ahead. Here's the key. Be honest with yourself about what you actually use. If you see negative value, then don't keep the card. Year 1 usually makes sense because of the welcome bonus. Year 2 is where you really need to evaluate. The second most popular card in the space will be the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which comes in at $795. You get a $300 travel credit that's easy to use, $300 for OpenTable, and $300 on DoorDash, and a few others that can effectively cost down to be a net positive. You also get Chase Sapphire Lounge access. These are popping up in more airports and they are actually pretty nice. And lastly, the Capital One Venture X has the lowest annual fee, coming in at $395. But it comes with a $300 travel credit and a 10,000 mile anniversary bonus that's worth at least $100. That basically wipes out the fee. You also get Capital One Lounge access plus 2 miles per dollar on everything. This is the best value premium card in my opinion. This card is set for a refresh, so whenever you watch this video, do the math to see if it still makes sense. For most people, level 4 is at the end of the road, and there's nothing wrong with that. You got some amazing perks and serious rewards. But for those who are curious about what's at the very top, let's talk about the cards that most of us would never get. Level 5 is for ballers only. At this level, you're in the top 0.1% of all credit card users. Let's be honest, there's really no practical reason to get the cards in this tier. It's mostly just about showing off. The perks are cool, but the value really isn't there compared to level 4 cards. The most famous card in the space is the MX Centurion card, also known as the Black Card. This is invite only just to get in. You pay a $10,000 initiation fee, and there is a $5,000 annual fee every single year. There's no official spending number to get invited. Some say that you need to spend multiple 6 figures a year with MX. Others say 6 figures per month. It also can depend on where you live. Someone in NYC will probably have to spend way more than someone in Columbus, Ohio. Most people who get it are running the business version since it is easier to rack up business expenses. Now, here's what you get. You get automatic elite status at hotels like Hilton, Marriott, and IHG, Delta Platinum Medallion status, and 24/7 access to a personal concierge. There's also a famous story online about a guy who had an accident in his pants at a hotel. He called the concierge and they delivered new clothes straight to his bathroom stall. I can't confirm if it is true, but it just shows the level of service that they do offer. Now, here's the thing though. You can actually get the majority of these perks by combining other cards, like the MX Platinum, Hilton Expire, and the Marriott Bonvoy Brilliant. Together, they will give you similar benefits. It will cost you, but still way less than Black Card. Another elite card is the JP Morgan Reserve. This one is also invite only. You will need at least $10 million in assets managed by JP Morgan Private Bank. The card itself is basically the Chase Sapphire Reserve with the United Club access added. The fee is $795. So yeah, level 5 is fun to talk about, but it's something not most of us really need to think about. Alright, so let's wrap this up. If you're starting with bad credit, I know it feels like a long road, and honestly, it might take some time. If you can't get negative marks removed right away, you may have to let them age. After about 4 years, they have less impact on your score. But don't wait around doing nothing. The sooner you start cleaning up your credit, the faster you'll climb. Most people should aim for at least level 2 to 3. That's where you get great cards without high fees. Level 4 is solid if you're serious about travel, and level 5 is just for fun. No matter where you're starting, consistent effort will get you there. Now, this whole video is about climbing the ladder, but higher limits make the climb way easier. If you want to know exactly how to get massive credit limit increases, watch this video right here. I'll show you the steps that actually work to boost your limits fast. I'll see you in the next one.